Welcome to the Squid'n Sass Podcast. It is your boy, AJ, aka Alex, aka Squid Tips. You know me. I'm the motorcycle guy that is inclusive and fights the police and just kind of is loud and raucous and pisses a lot of people off, but is very much here to support marginalized communities, especially all of my trans friends. And I am joined with Sarah, who I've done a video about trans women in women's sports with. Welcome, Sarah.
I'm Sarah Sass. I'm the mother of two. I am the coach. I'm a volleyball coach. I'm a pickleball coach. I'm a pickleball player. And I am the overwhelmingly positive and bubbly girl that everybody loves to talk to about their problems. I love to advise people. I am a life coach at heart. I'm always sharing my advice on how to better your life, how to expand your perspective so that you can see the good in life, even when you're a target, even when things get sticky and rough. I'm still there with a smile, and I'm still there to lift you up.
So I quit drinking a month ago, and that is I made that choice because I did some stuff that I realized alcohol was kind of like doing things that was impacting relationships that were important to me in a negative way. And what's that?
Making some some oopsie daisies.
Yeah, more than some oopsie daisies, more like holy fuck, I can't believe I said that or acted like that kind of situations. Which I think what makes it unique for me, I have a very unique relationship to alcohol in that I didn't drink most of my life. I didn't drink until I was 25. Like it was actually like not drinking and not doing drugs was actually it was like part of my personality in a lot of ways. Like I did sports and I was like I would say I was popular, but I wasn't popular because I was like doing leadership, or I was like I was popular because I was kind of a goofy kid and I was very extroverted and I did sports. Like that's what made me popular. And so I would go to these parties and stuff, and I would still hang out with people. I enjoyed being social, and alcohol and like drugs were happening around me at like 16, 17, 18. And I just never participated in them. And it wasn't like people didn't have a problem. Like people definitely offered it to me. They wanted me to be involved, but I was like, nah, it's all cool. It's cool, man. And because I didn't exclude myself, like people were totally happy to have me around. And I was the designated driver a lot. You know, people respected that part of me. And it was why I didn't drink for a really long time. And I didn't drink also because I had a lot of alcoholism in my family. I saw scary things that adults were doing around me when they were drunk. I specifically had an uncle who would get like, I have a memory very much like burned in my head of like driving in this car with him and him having like a fucking beer in his hand in the back seat and him just shaking, like grabbing the oh shit bar and just shaking the fuck out of the car. And I'm like 9 and I'm like scared about what he's doing. And
Great role model.
Yeah. And like, so that was like very impacting for me as a child. So, but then as I got older, I kind of like, I got more curious and I got more, you know, as I learned more about life, I realized a lot of the things I thought about, you know, stuff as I was younger weren't really true. And one of those things was like, oh, maybe I can do alcohol. Maybe I can be okay with that. And,
you know, one thing that I notice in people that like don't do drugs or alcohol throughout their like younger years and then kind of get into it in the older years have like a serious crash and burn. And it's like, oh, maybe you should have tested it when you were younger.
That's totally it. So that was the thing I realized is that, yeah, that's exactly what happened is like, I'm this older guy now. I'm way too confident in my own abilities and the things that I can do. Right. And so what happened is I don't develop a chemical dependence on alcohol, but like when I do it, I go fucking hard. And I have a lot of situations where like I make myself really fucking sick out of nowhere because I don't know my tolerances. It takes me years to figure out like how many drinks I can have and start counting drinks and to start like drinking water actively so that I'm not just totally fucked up.
See, I'm already an expert. I did it in my school days. I know what I'm doing. All right.
Yeah, I didn't. That's what I didn't realize. Like all these kids were making those mistakes when the consequences were so low by comparison to this 38-year-old man that I am now. And so, no, that's exactly, I'm glad you've identified that. See, again, things I don't know, but yeah, so I I realized that, and I realized that things were happening, and I haven't had a lot of people give me negative feedback about my behavior while I was drinking. For the most part, I would be drinking with like a handful of buddies or whatever, or on a social occasion. But I realized that there were definitely times where I was using it to numb myself of like loneliness, like especially after my divorce or like later on in my marriage when things weren't going super great. Like I was definitely like drinking way more at home, alone, just, playing video games or whatever. And it was making me fat. And I realized I was like, for a long time, I was like, this is not a great thing that I'm doing. Like I knew I was like, I don't really
So,
want
like,
to.
you feel bad about it, and it's like, I feel bad. I want to drink some more.
Yeah,
Because it's
no,
an
I feel bad.
emotional thing, right?
Yeah, no, it made me feel like shit, and I gained weight. Like I definitely, like, the heaviest I ever was after I was a really bad winter when I had just been drinking a lot, and I got up to like 185, and I sit around 170, 175. My summer body's closer to 165, but yeah, like I'm 20 pounds heavier than that. And it's literally, I mean, I realize alcohol is literally poison. And I'm thinking about, like, I live this very healthy lifestyle. I eat very well. I'm super active, but I'm doing this thing that's like, I hated my grandfather because he smoked for a really long time. And like, I love him very much, but it was very hard to watch him smoke and kill himself over time. And I'm looking at myself and I'm like, I'm kind of doing the same behavior. It's just with a different substance. There's a lot of cancer, you can get colon cancer and all that shit from it.
And
So
how did you justify it, though?
how did I justify it? Well, I was fucking, because I'm fucking a healthy guy. That's a long time from now.
I
I
didn't
got,
think about.
yeah, and I'm having a good time, and I want it. I want to keep doing it. At the end of the day, I didn't want to stop, and I didn't have a great motivation to. And then yeah, I did something kind of shitty, and I said some shitty things, and it was the first time that I had someone like really draw the connection to alcohol, where it was very clear that that was why I was doing it, and I was like, oh fuck, okay. And so that was kind of my final straw of like, all right, I'm going to make this adjustment. I'm going to make this change now for real, because I'm again thinking back to my parents and my family life, is like a lot of this function was there because, like, it's a cycle. If you use the drugs because you're not having a good time, because you're not solving problems, because it helps you work through things, but it amplifies all your problems and it does not improve them or make those problems go away at all. So I'm like, I'm old enough, and I'm like, nope, I want to solve these problems. I want to move through these things. I don't want to build a life that has to involve me doing alcohol, because then it has to involve people that want to be around a shittier version of me that kind of does shittier things. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
Do
I'm
you mind if
going.
do you mind if I share my thoughts on that? Because, like, I've
Please,
been
yeah.
around alcoholics. I married one, and what I always see, like, when I say it's an emotional thing, it's like it amplifies your emotions. And if you have emotions that are bottled up, that's when they come out, because the filter, gonzo, gonzo on the filter. You're saying what's on your mind and on your heart. And if you're feeling stuff that's like almost debilitating, but you wear that smile anyways, you walk around, you're like, I'm good. But deep seated in there, there's some like debilitating feelings about life, past beliefs, current issues that will come out, and it'll come out exacerbated. So, like, for me, a lot of my life I didn't have much of that aside from my gender stuff. So I always worried, like, am I going to talk about this to the wrong person? Because, like, I never told anybody, but I worried that when I would drink, it would come out. And I think it did to certain people, because a couple people told me, like, they're like, you said some things that we didn't know what it meant, but you seemed all right, but you were talking about it, and it's like, we didn't know what it meant. But I was always happy, so I was the bubbly hugger. I hugged everybody. I just wanted to give everybody a hug. Like, oh, get over it, I love you. But if I was in a bad mood and I drank, ooh, yeah, stuff came out. Stuff came out, and it's like, I didn't know who you were last night. It's like, I don't know, who was I last night? Like, you're a little aggressive. Like, you said stuff that was, like, hurtful, and you're not a hurtful person. It's like, oh, damn, okay. That's because it's in there. So, like, if you want to drink and you want to be, like, safe from hurting people, you got to make sure you're not hurting inside. If you're hurting inside, it's coming out and you're projecting it all. You're going to spew it all over people, and they're going to be like, what the hell, man? So that's my experience.
That's a really good point. And I thought it because I was like, I was like, well, as I'm quitting, I'm like, well, I've got all this alcohol in the cabinet. I'm just going to
Get
get
rid of it.
super drunk and like, but that was, the problem is everything I did over text message. And so I would need to eliminate my phone somehow. Like literally, I thought to myself, I'm not going to cause problems because I'm at home alone. I can't hurt anybody. I'm not going to go drink and drive, whatever, which I'm a pretty, never mind. I'm a professional, but it's over now, but I'm doing it at home. But no, as soon as my phone's there, like, yeah, those negative emotions come out, those insecurities come out, the version and the part of me where it's like I've added all these great like emotional intelligence and social skills and ability to like deal with my own emotions, and it just fucking goes away. And just like the core version of me, which I'm just like anyone else at my core, like I have selfish moments, I have things where I'm not super empathetic, like things that I just want this thing, and I wish there weren't so many fucking problems. I wish people would just give me my thing and stop dealing with themselves or whatever. But yeah, like it's not who I want to be, and it's not fun to like have to manage that person, and yeah. So, but things are going well. I'm moving through it, and I haven't really had a lot. I've been doing a lot more with my life. I've been just a lot more productive and feeling better. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you're speaking to a therapist, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's gonna help. I mean, not only help like in your life, but help you have the ability to, when you want to have a drink and you're like, I'm in a good mood, I feel good, I want to have some drinks with my friends. You don't have to worry that like all kinds of things are gonna come out because you're like healing them and you actually feel good about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
But I
appreciate
mean,
that. I appreciate that context.
We all love to record our friends saying stupid shit. So I mean, if as long as I'm around and you're feeling a certain way, just let me know to bring out the camera.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. Yeah, that's exactly what I need. I need my behavior reflected at me because yeah, sometimes that's the only way you figure out, oh shit. Okay.
I had a friend who, he would drink and he would start jumping out of trees. So we made sure the camera was always ready because that was his thing, jumping out of trees. Like, oh, here we go again.
Oh man. A buddy of mine got super drunk one time and he was like, hey, get on my back. Like as we were walking drunk down the sidewalk of Anchorage, Alaska. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if this is a good idea. He's like, get on me. And so I get on him and he starts sprinting and I'm just like down the sidewalk and we're down. I'm just like, okay. And I'm holding on and the dude just face plants. And I'm like, oh no, I rode his ass all the way into the ground. Yeah, he got less fucked up than he deserved, but yeah.
That sounds a little painful. Just a little.
What do you got for us, Sarah? What do you got to bring to the table today?
2024 was very stressful for me. So if you don't know, I'm Canadian, and I moved to Minnesota, which is like mini Canada. I'm not gonna lie, it's very similar. But even my Facebook algorithms and my feed started showing different things, like much more political stuff. It seemed like my American friends got priority in my algorithm on my news feed. So I started seeing a lot more about American politics. And coming from, my life, I didn't really care much for politics. It's like I would hear about it, and it's like I would have some kind of opinions, but it was not something like I deep delved on. But here, especially right now, and especially since 2016 with, Trump getting in office and watching certain personalities get emboldened, people that felt certain ways about marginalized groups, transgender people, XYZ, you fill in the blanks, you would see these people get very aggressive towards them. It's like, wow, why? Why? I only, when I started to come out and I started to meet a couple different like trans folks and people in the LGBTQ, I kind of just was like, I don't need to be part of a group. I just want to be me. I'm not looking to be in all the pride parades and all that stuff. Nothing against it or anything. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. I just was like, that's not why I'm being who I am. I'm not trying to join a group. I'm just trying to be who I've always been. So I didn't like create all kinds of close friendships in certain communities. I can only really speak deeply on my experience. And in my experience, I'm nothing to be afraid of. I'm not a threat. I don't threaten washroom spaces or any safe space. When, growing up, if you haven't seen any videos about me, I've kind of shared the story. But growing up, my mom and my grandma always thought I was going to come out as gay because I was very effeminate. I was very sensitive. I played Barbies with the girls across the street. I didn't really know what it meant. I just knew it didn't fit into society's model of what a boy was. That was all I kind of equated it to. I didn't look much past it. So eventually, obviously, I came out and told the world, hey, I've been a woman this whole time. I've just kind of been playing this role and playing this part. Anyways, back to here, me in Minnesota, seeing the way the political landscape was going is like, I'm becoming a target. I'm like, me? Why? Why am I a target? I'm so kind and caring, and I actually genuinely try to do my best for society, for people. I've given people jobs. I've donated money to people, to foundations, and I'm like, I do my best to create a good world for people around me. It's like I've got this target on my back. I'm like, what the hell, man? Why me? And as someone who kind of didn't identify with this whole group of communities and pride and all this stuff, I was like, I think it's time I start to talk about this, and I need to be a voice. So I started to step into this role, and since we've done our video, which was amazing to work with you on creating a video that kind of shared my story, shared our perspectives, hopefully touched some lives and gave them some hope. Since doing that, I kind of embraced okay, I want to be part of the community in a positive way. I want to, assure people going through this transition, which is not easy. It's not glorious. And anyone who makes you think, oh, being part of the LGBT or being transgender is like some cool, glorious, cool kids party. No, it's not. It sucks. It fucking sucks getting into this. When I first started transitioning, I looked weird, and I tried to really embrace it. It's my version of beauty at the moment. I'm going through my, what do you call it, my transformation as a butterfly, and but I looked weird. I worked at Costco, and I would look over and people would be taking pictures of me, asking me, kids would be like, are you a boy wearing makeup? It was weird, but I embraced it, and I was like, it's okay. It's all good. I get it, and I would go home and I was like, ow, a little bit, but I was still this is part of my process, and I own who I am. But it's not easy. It's not glorious. It's not fun. What's fun is getting to the point where you're actually comfortable in your skin. You can look in the mirror and go, oh, I love you. I love you. It doesn't matter what you look like. You feel good. It feels good to be in my skin. It took me at least 5 years to begin to get there. And I'm still a work in progress. I still look in the mirror, and every once in a while, I feel it's like the voices that I hear and see online, sometimes they creep in, and it's like I hear that voice as if it's my own. That's why sometimes I'll do a video. It's like, don't let the voices on the outside become your voice. Let your voice be one of love, compassion, acceptance. So this past year, it's been a lot of watching the world around me kind of close in and go, you're the enemy. And that's for someone who genuinely has put my life towards helping people, towards giving them all my secrets that I know that I've learned over many of my mistakes and failures, to be able to go, here's what I've learned through my mistakes. Hopefully you don't make that same mistake, and you can actually elevate beyond me. I try to give people the tools to move faster than I ever moved, so that we can evolve quicker and expand our perspectives, and to have people and society that I've tried to help grow start to come down on me and tell me where I belong or where I don't belong, or what I deserve, what I don't deserve, what healthcare I should have access to and not have access to. It has weighed on me. It has weighed on me to a point where the word that I've never had in my vocabulary, hate, has become part of my vocabulary. And I don't like that. I really don't. There's hate in my heart now. It makes me want to cry. I don't want to hate, but I see it prevalently in my world. My bubble is starting to have darkness in it. And it's like, that's not me. Like I said, me as a drinker, especially in high school and stuff, it's like I was the bubbly hugger. I would tell people positive things. I was like, you don't know how awesome you are, and you should. You're amazing, and I love you. And people would be like, oh, I love doing that, reminding people how great they are. Now I feel like if I haven't been drunk in probably a good year or more. I feel like if I got drunk right now, I'd be like, fuck everybody. Everybody sucks. Fuck you and fuck you. You know?
But that's the what you are surrounded with. No matter how positive or like what you're trying to do, it's so easy for life to kind of like knock you off of that path you're on. And it is so hard when there is high levels of emotion being thrust like onto you out of nowhere. I don't know what it's like to have like one of the a marginalized identity that people kind of see and just are always inherently hateful of necessarily. I mean, being a motorcycle rider is a little bit like that. But when the cop thing happened, I experienced so many people that were just saying very negative things about me and very like, again, threatening my job, like coming at me, say like making up lies about what I had done or that they thought they had seen me do. But it's like, yeah, people will do insane or very, very wild things to people when they feel like there's like a justification that is when they've dehumanized you enough or been trained to dehumanize you enough. And it takes a lot of internal confidence and like emotional regulation and ability to hold yourself and not just like spin out and let that impact you in such negative ways.
So I, like you, it's like I'll avoid drinking so that I don't go crazy. I'm avoiding social media so I don't tell people I hate them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's like, so I'm typically someone who posts at least once a day, up to 3, 4, 5 times a day. Lately, I've been posting once every 2 weeks. Cause like, yeah, I got it in my heart that I wanna, and like little tidbits are coming out, and it's like people are seeing. It's like, oh man, there's going through it. She's going through it.
Well, and especially these social media platforms are becoming less and less interested in reducing that. They're becoming more interested in just encouraging engagement, doing anything they can do to keep people on the platform, to keep your eyes and your attention on their platform, whatever that ends up being. And it seems like the way they're doing that is they're just letting people do kind of and say whatever they want. And that's going to make these spaces like the more normal ones. I think the ones that people are like used to, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the TikToks, the Instagrams, like I think it's going to make these things worse places filled with more negativity. And that I think leads people, hopefully, I'm hoping that leads people to trying to explore other things that can make them feel better, like new relationships or rebuilding old relationships or going into like these third spaces like the Discord. The Discord is really important for me. Like I spend a lot of time there. Like as I've removed myself from other social media, I've spent more and more time engaging with that community of people and trying to build that and find more things we can do together, like book clubs, excuses to like, getting on the voice chat and just like streaming games with people and talking at night instead of scroll, post, talk, comment. Like that has, that's my strategy.
Yeah. You bring up a good point because I don't know if you noticed, but Meta just released a new policy on, getting rid of fact checkers. And in that policy, it talks about what you're allowed and not allowed to do. And it's now at a point where it's kind of encouraging anti-LGBTQ and specifically trans content, where they say you're not allowed to talk about someone as if they have a mental illness unless they're part of the LGBTQ community. That's in the policy. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't. I've seen their examples of basically saying like, hey, here's an example of things you can say now. Trans people are mentally ill. Like that. Like I think that was like an explicit quote, and it's
crazy. It's crazy. So and I think I never really thought about it, but I think Mark Zuckerberg's like, that creates content, that creates engagement. So let's let it fly. And it's like, I don't know that it's necessarily that he is anti-LGBTQ community. I think he's just like pro talk shit on the platform, and this is high engagement.
He's into MMA and shit now, and all those. I don't know if you know who Dana White is, the head of MMA, but he's been a Trump loyalist for a really long time. But I mean, like that is the world of, but that is the world of like, hey, if you can't handle what I'm saying, snowflake, like get off the internet. Like that is their attitude, is you need to opt out if you have a problem, versus us needing to have any care or consideration of how what we're going to do is going to impact other people. It's encouraging more atomization. It's encouraging to just keep people there, because the conflict, I think keeps people
Well, it
on the
all comes
platform.
down to the dollar. It's our
Yeah.
capitalistic society that anything that can create more dollar signs, let's roll with it. It ain't about empathy. Our world could use it, and we don't. You'll find a lot of the left leaning sides. They're a little more empathetic to different human rights issues. I'm not saying to go extreme on either side. Honestly, I wish more people were more progressive, middle leaning. There are certain things from the Republic side of things that are positive, that are beneficial, and same with the left. I wish it wasn't so radical, and that's another thing that I noticed since coming to America. It's like radical left, radical right, nothing in between. It's like, guys, you gotta agree that not everything over here and not everything over here is beneficial to our society. Can we find a way to get over here? A little bit closer to over here would be a little more positive for everybody. And that empathy thing, I so wish there was more empathy. And if there was see, when you and I get together, it's like, how can we create more empathy for people who are being attacked? And I know you've always been about that in your channel. It's why you've created the community that you do, because there are people who are like, we have empathy and we'd love people to have empathy for us. Because again, I don't know, I'm a fucking target. Why are you aiming at me? You don't know me.
Yeah. Well, and I think online, as things pushed people and encouraged people to be online, the less we're like face to face. Like human beings are used to building empathy through seeing emotions, like hearing voice. Like we're very good at perceiving how people are feeling. And of course there are conditions like autism that make that harder or whatever.
Right.
But for the most part, that is the best way for humans to integrate and communicate. But the more barriers you put, the moment you put something over my face where you can't see my emotions or you can't hear my voice,
Hear
or
the
we're just
tone.
interacting
Yeah.
through text, it's so much harder for natural empathy to build with people, and it becomes so much easier to just fuck you, whatever thing you're feeling, just the core version of that, and not care about other people. And you have to, that's why we got to get back to in IRL shit, finding smaller communities of people that we can get to know and be with. And I'm really glad to hear that you're stepping offline more since the election, and I've been doing that too. And I've been using online to try to find in-person communities, to connect with people, that I already know, that I have rapport with, that we can build something better, do something more fun. So
yeah, the IRL groups are funner anyways. It's not fun being online. I don't know what I don't get the appeal that much, because honestly, it's not fun. It's just not fun.
you weren't on the internet in 1996, were you? Were you on the internet in 1996?
AOL dial-up.
Yeah. That was the good internet. It's just the internet used to be cool, and
Chat
now it's
room.
not anymore. That's just
ICQ, MSN chat. Yeah. I was feeling that vibe for a little while.
Yeah. No, the internet is
it's
in
not
shit.
the same. But...
Have you ever heard the term in shitification?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll introduce you to the term. So the term in shitification is a popular buzzword, which is just, it's the description for how things are just becoming worse and worse and worse over time as capitalism, or just as society. Take away the buzzword of capitalism, society just kind of gets worse and worse. Money, everything is just chasing money and short-term gain, and it's just in shitification. Worse customers, more profit.
Yeah, I think I feel deep in shitification. I'm like, that's what this is. This is in shitification. I'm in it.
Yeah.
But the fun. I wish there was more fun about being online, because it should be, right? We're talking about communities of people and people engaging with other people. In high school, we had fun. We were engaging with different communities, whether it was our main group or a side group or whatever. It was fun. We would do things that lit us up, made us feel things. Online, it's like, I'm going to drop a comment here. Drop a comment. I'm going to fight back. I'm going to make a post. It's like, it's just not fun, There's no feel to it.
No, I have way more fun playing
Oh,
soccer on Monday for an hour and forgetting the internet exists. So,
yeah, that's pickleball for me. Pickleball.
do you want to move to the questions? The questions we got?
Yeah, I will. I'll put away my fuck everybody emotion for a minute and go, hey,
Good.
how can I help you?
We're going to engage our empathy muscles here. Well,
All
I
right,
mean,
empathy.
so for the audience, we've got a bunch of ways to deliver questions. This is definitely a audience engagement podcast. So if you have a question for us, feel free to either email. We'll have all this in the description here, but you can email me at squidtips@gmail.com. I've got a voicemail number you can find down there. Maybe I'll insert the number here in text or something. And you can also deliver it in the Discord. That's the best way. And so these questions are from people in the Discord. The first one, and I think that's, again, really important for you, is what are the emotional impacts that someone can expect for starting HRT as a new trans person?
Trans woman or trans man?
Yeah, so, well, I think we'll do both. I Googled both. I mean, maybe I can explain the man ones, but
well, one thing that's very interesting is I've had both hormones in my system. Same soul, same core belief systems and stuff, and morals and values, but different hormones. So when I went from testosterone to HRT to estrogen and stuff, so weird thing. When you have testosterone in your system, it is an aggressive hormone. It is. The thoughts of fighting and brawling, that's a thing, okay? I don't know how much you think about fighting people or... Okay.
I have to turn that off. That's what the alcohol lets out.
Right? So I felt that way. I was like, I never related with it. It's like, I don't want to, but I've been in a lot of fights in my life, okay? I've probably been in about 30 fist fighting brawls. And it's crazy.
Okay.
And it was like, I loved it. I haven't been in a fight in so long, and I don't think about fighting. I never think about fighting. Fighting is, why would I fight? I'm a lover. I want to love. I want to cuddle. So, not to say that you don't want that stuff too, but now it's just that for me. I want to be happy and bubbly and playful. I don't think about fighting. So, switching, to estrogen, my emotions were very much more like I would watch a commercial and start crying. I got to this place where I would bawl all the time. And I thought I was depressed. I had to learn from a friend, like, no, that's just being a woman. Doesn't mean you're depressed. You're just crying. I was like, oh, I thought I was sad. I'm not sad? No, you're just expressing emotions because you saw something that touched your emotional buttons. Like, oh, I'm not depressed. Yay. So that was a new thing. So anyone who's just getting into, switching to the female hormones, please be aware that you're going to start crying, and it doesn't mean you're sad. You're not depressed. You're feeling things. And that's kind of cool. It's refreshing. Every time, once you understand that it's just you kind of embracing the orchestra of emotions a little deeper, then it can be refreshing instead of worrisome. Because to me, it worried me. It's like, I am crying an awful lot. Am I depressed? And that bothered me. So that would be a first thing to understand about how the emotions go when you start to go on HRT.
So I've been dating a trans woman, so I realize what I can bring to this conversation, which is the experience of people who are not trans, who then engaging with trans women or people that are getting onto these hormones, because I was absolutely I helped a trans woman I took in a trans woman for a little bit, for a couple of months. I helped her get onto hormones. And so I got to watch and talk to her through this experience. And what she said was that the first thing was she just felt more regulated, overall, as much as maybe you felt new types of emotions, she just felt less, I don't know, just not crazy, I guess is I think
less
the word that she used, right? Yeah, I just felt hey, this is, I'm feeling more like what I feel like I should be experiencing. And then she said over a couple months, her nipples started to feel a little more sensitive, right? Certain parts of the body change, which I again underestimated and didn't really understand as someone who was not trans, how much of the body just magically starts to change on its own, whether or not that isn't necessarily visible to other people, but you feel it,
The shape of your eye, I didn't know this, but the shape of your eyeballs shift. Like, yeah, I did a lot of research. I was like, what can I expect? And it was like a lot of things. So your skin changes, the way it feels, the way it looks, its translucency, the oiliness changes. So, you get drier. Men have oilier skin. So my skin, I needed to keep a little more moisturized. So I have moisturizers everywhere now, and they smell nice and stuff. So that's that's one thing. Shape of the eyeball. That was like, okay, good to know. Interesting. Muscle mass gone. I've said this many times, especially because I'm in sports. I'm in pro sports. People think, you got this big advantage. Actually, no. I will be very upfront. I never was really into sports, but I lived at the gym, and I was 220 pounds running a landscaping company. That guy was strong, very strong, and 220 pounds being able to do 100 push-ups straight nonstop, going 6 months into HRT, could barely do 10.
Wow.
And I was down to 155 pounds.
Wow. That's
my
crazy.
body changed a lot. So, whenever anyone says something about that strength advantage, I laugh. I'm like, you have no idea. You have no idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're basically getting, I think that the good analogy is to think about, like, what do we traditionally think of as the other genders' puberty experience? Like, as a trans man, like, the same thing that a man goes through, like, you start to grow facial hair. You might, when you're getting testosterone, like, and I've never done, I'm like you, like, I wanted to be huge. Like, I've spent a lot of time in the gym specifically for athletics, wanting to get like gigantic and strong and powerful, and been around people doing, consider things like HRT as like a way of amplifying that or whatever. But you'll gain muscle mass. Like, when you start injecting testosterone, like, testosterone is a muscle builder. It changes the voice. It can, the aggression you're talking about of like amplifying feelings of like anger, like, those are the types of things that a trans man can start to experience. And it can be a very strange, especially coming from a feminine experience where you're not encouraged to do a lot of those things or have those types of emotions. It's not necessarily even safe. Like, that would be that's what you can kind of expect as a man. And what I found was wild was realizing that when a trans woman like misses her hormones, like doesn't take her hormone pills, you basically get the experience of a menstrual cycle in women, because in women, like, that is, menstrual cycles cause hormones to just go fucking crazy. Like, that's what makes
we feel that.
Yeah, it puts you in a bad
end
mood.
Of the month. For me, it's always at the end of the month. I start getting moody. I'm like, woo. Yeah, no, I go through that whole PMS, all the symptoms aside from, obviously, we won't say it, but yeah,
the bleeding.
I feel the things.
Yeah.
I feel the things. It's messed up. It's like, I can't control it either. I would love to. I'm like telling myself, can you please calm down, Sarah? Can you fucking mellow out? My boyfriend's going crazy, watching me and feeling my fucking projection of shit, and I don't even need to feel that way. Why am I doing this? And I can't control it. Every time. End of the month. Watch it.
And so that's my advice to anybody who's trying to help a trans person, like, work or has someone close to them, is just understand that in the same way that, like, I learned to empathize with my ex-wife in like how her hormones were really impacting her ability to function, like, just fully function, like days that she would just not get out of bed because it was just wasn't having it, couldn't go to work, and then things that were fine, right? And realizing that it's not a choice she's making, like, these are things that, like, her body is doing to her, and finding ways around, like, how do we deal with that? Okay, when you're not having a good day, when things are like, when you're feeling really down, it's cool. We can cancel plans. I can, it's okay for me to go make a different plan if you don't need my help or whatever. And like, let's normalize these things, or let's do something together that's not so serious. Let's watch a movie together. Let's just go out and have lunch somewhere that we really enjoy and walk the dogs together, like, adapting to that. That's my advice.
That's really huge of you. And like, I think most men, I don't know if I want to generalize and say most men, but it's like, it's just a pain in the ass. And we feel bad about that. We don't want to be your burden, your pain in the ass. We would love if you, just like you're saying, made some way to make it a way to get closer. Use it in a positive way. Like, hey, I want to show you how much I care, but adjusting my plans towards something that feels good for both of us as a couple, in a relationship, instead of, oh shit, I'm going to avoid you for the next few days because you're being a bitch again.
Yeah, and especially
Ouch.
now, like I've had a lot of like I mean, and if this is what it takes, do this. Like think about a time when you had a really really shitty day or you were just feeling fucking terrible, and like sometimes that happens in moments where it's inconvenient, but like and you're already feel like I hate disappointing people. I hate not doing something that I committed to, but that doesn't mean the right thing is for me to push through. Like that can just make everything fucking worse if I am totally unprepared to go do this thing and make everybody miserable, right? Like in the same way you're having these arguments with other people and you're just like, so yeah, roll with it.
That actually brings up a good point. Something that, since I've transitioned and I've had, the hormones that feel right for me, I've been in touch with my emotions in a way that when I feel something, it's like, it's a signal to me. So before they were kind of deeper down. It's like I wouldn't really feel them. It's like there'd be something there and I would avoid it. But now it's like as soon as I feel something that makes me go, I don't know that I want to do this. I don't feel good. I don't push through these things. I don't. And I get my recharge, I get whatever it is I need, whatever I feel that I need, and it's like I feel better. If I do push through and I go, well, no, I have to do this, even though I don't feel good about it, even though I feel like angry or sad or whatever, something, and I push through it, it never turns out well. It turns out like, God, I wish I didn't do that. So now that I am more in touch with my feelings and my emotions actually have a little more precedence over my decision making, yeah, sometimes I'm making emotional decisions. Actually, very often I'm making decisions not based off of what I think is right, but how I feel. I feel good about it, and I'm happy with how that turns out. And sometimes it is basically I am not doing what I committed to a month ago, and that's I do in a sense feel bad for that, but it's like something doesn't feel good about it. And it turns out that it's all right. It turns out probably better for the better that I didn't do that.
That's an important
And yeah,
skill to develop, is figuring out like when you're pushing yourself too hard, when the risks, when the things that are probably going to happen at the end of that by pushing through like aren't like, why are you doing this thing? Well, I want to do this thing because it's fun. And we would go to like trade shows and stuff. We would go to PAX or whatever. And like, I would want to get out early. Like I'm a super on time person. I prepare way too much. I think through things way too much, but like, we say we're going to get there at 7. I'm like ready to go at fucking 6:45 out the door. But like so many other people around me aren't. And for a long time, that was hard for me to deal with. And it created a lot of friction because I was like, you said we're out the door at 7 a.m. yesterday, and now you're dragging me down, and now you're the one, right? But it's realizing like she's not trying. And yeah, like what do I want at the end of the day? At the end of the day, the important thing is this relationship. Like this event is not a make or break moment for my life. No event is a make or break moment for my life. My life is going to be very long. I'm going to have lots of other opportunities to do fun, enjoyable things. And so like calming myself and yeah, realizing I need to be the support for in a moment, and then yeah, reassessing and finding a new way forward, right? But it's expectations too. It's like I get locked into wanting to do the thing that we were going to do, and like you said this and that, right? But getting out of
the ego needs to be fed. If you don't feed my ego, you starve my ego. I got to take care of that stuff. I watch One Piece. For anyone who watches One Piece, you'll understand when I talk about Luffy. He's going to be king of the pirates. He's the most carefree guy. But I mean, he'll kick anybody's ass if they harm anyone close to him. But his whole vibe and attitude, and honestly, AJ, you've got to watch One Piece just to see who this guy Luffy is. Yeah, take note. Luffy, doesn't matter what happens. He's like, okay, cool, we're rolling with it. And it's so inspiring. It's just a cartoon. It's an anime cartoon. But that vibe, and there are people out there, and like I have moments where I'm just like that, and I love when I'm like that because anything beautiful can happen. And I don't care if something goes wrong. To Luffy, it's not that it's going wrong. It's just a shift in the plan, or it's a shift in, well, okay, now we got to go do this. he doesn't get frustrated about it or angry about it, but you mess with his friends, that's a different story. But as far as unforeseen circumstances, things that don't go to plan, things that don't go to your expectations, he's like, okay, like whatever. And everyone's just like, what? Why don't you like get frustrated? Why aren't you mad? Why do you not care? And he's like, but he always turns out to be in the right place at the right time. And it's like, he's lucky. It's like, but it's not that he's lucky. It's that he just takes everything in stride and it turns out to be a good time because that's just his vibe. And I know people like this. And I know when I'm in that place, it's the same thing. I enjoy life so much more when I stop giving a fuck. Stop caring about the way it's supposed to be, the way I envision my expectations. If that is out the window, I have a much better time and I'm much more loose and I actually enjoy my time, even if something went wrong.
So our next question is about any advice or suggestions you have on finding sports clubs that are going to be queer friendly. And I've got ideas because I play athletics and things that I would do. But as you know, you're as a trans woman who got into other sports and I think has like started joining other things too. Like what are some advice you have for people?
So I don't know if I'm unique in this way. I don't identify with a group as if it needs to be accommodated to. I don't feel I need to be accommodated to, so I don't act that way. I don't think I need to give warning labels. I don't think I need to say, well, you need, this group better be inclusive of XYZ. I just show up. You know what I mean? If I want something, I'll go to it. If it turns out that I don't like the people, whether it's because of how they treat others or whatever, then I'll just go find another one. So I'm not exactly looking for specific things. Again, I don't know. My situation might be different just based on my whole personality and how I kind of embrace certain things. But I think I've embodied and embraced this whole, I'm just me. It's not about accommodating to whatever things I have about me. So I look for people who are cool. It has nothing to do with what they're tolerant of or what they accept. Sometimes I'll find out I like someone, but hey, their belief systems kind of counter mine. And it's like, I don't mind spending time with them, but we're not getting into conversation. Like, I'm probably not going to go have dinner with them and have dinner talk with them. We'll play a game of pickleball and then, bye, good to see you. See you, Diane. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and sports are interesting like that. Like, you don't have to go much deeper than playing the game. If during the game, a game of soccer, you're having fun, you're kicking the ball, you're doing all the things that make soccer fun, and then you can say goodbye, it's fine, as long as they're not being POS to you, I would say that I don't think we need to worry too much about the boxes and the labels and stuff. And I don't think you need to warn anybody about your box or your label. You don't have to expect anyone to conform to your box or label. I think we just do what makes us feel good and be around people who make us feel good. And sometimes you're going to find that some of them don't, some of them do. So move on to the next.
Yeah, I think I think for some people, I totally agree with that attitude because based on my experience in sports, because I played soccer all my life and I've kept playing into my adult years, which is it's a really important like part of my like staying. My desire to go into the gym is just like gone after if I don't have something to compete for, like, and so playing soccer helps me want to be active for any reason. And I'm a pretty good soccer player. I mean, I play goalie, so that's an important role, and a lot of people don't want to do it. So a lot of people have my phone number and will text me. And so I've played with a lot of different teams because they just are desperate to have somebody. But you're totally right that like every team has a different dynamic. And so many of these teams I walk into are, they're a friend group that have known each other for a period of time, and they either know each other from a place or they know each other because they've worked together in the same, whatever community, or they're just a series of friends and they put something together, and every vibe is going to be different. And so I think it's important to have your attitude of being able to walk in and say, you know what, I'm going to try it. And this may or may not work for me. These people may or may not be good for me, but it's okay to like, be like, okay, thanks for inviting me. Like I'm good. I'm gonna go play with somebody else.
Right.
But for some, I do understand that for some people, it's like they don't want to, they're scared to walk in and just immediately get rejected or have people like look at them and be like, what the fuck are you doing here type
So you
situation.
know what? I'd really like to talk on that, because that fear, it causes so much, what can I say, dilemma in your life. So let me go back to when I was working at Costco. The way I looked caused something in people. But in that same time, I was the number one salesperson because I embraced who I was. I walked like with my chest up high. I was like, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I'm going to show up powerful. I'm going to show up as if I love every bit of myself. And because I did that, I was never accosted. No one ever confronted me in a negative way. And I created this environment around me of more of curiosity instead of judgment. People were like, who is this person who is like embodying power but looks like a freak? You know? I mean, I heard what people would say behind my back. They never said it to me because I embodied confidence. So, what I would say to anyone who has that fear of rejection or fear of even, the confrontation, fear of whatever the fear is coming up with because I'm different, put that shit aside and walk as if, like, pretend, fake it till you make it if you have to, but walk as if your shit don't stink. Walk as if you are queen of the world, king of the world. Walk that way and act that way, and watch how the environment around you like empowers that and shifts towards that. When you're playing soccer, do you give a crap what someone's past is, or do you care that they're fun to play with? They make me laugh. They make me happy. We have a good game. They're good at what they do, so they challenge me. Are those not the sports things you're looking for?
It I will say that it depends for a lot of people, but to your point, what I look for is somebody who is just trying, because so many people are out there and they are not doing their best. They are not really, they're very interested in winning. Like they're very caught up in the competition of it and winning the game, but they're so focused on that they're not a good person to play with. They're not enjoyable. They get upset. They give up and don't try. And that's what I don't like. I just don't like to play with people who aren't trying and doing and investing their best. And I will very much, as somebody who's very good, I will always, when I see somebody who's doing their best and trying, like I brought my ex-wife, I brought her in to play soccer in a co-ed team, and she had never played before. And the number of people, because she just had the attitude of wanting to do as good as she can and not, everything she could. People absolutely gave her so much grace and so much more like attention and help. And it was a really great thing for our relationship to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, you're not distracted by all these thoughts of I have to do better or I'm not good enough, and that kind of goes to the question that you're talking about. If you're distracting yourself with all these worries and concerns of something bad happening, it is a distraction. You can't be true to who you are if you're distracting yourself with these worries and these doubts and these hesitations. So when you go out, if you're going into a sports team, whether you've researched all the people and you know all their belief systems or not, which good luck figuring that out before you go into a sports team. Anyways, if you're distracting yourself, then you're not going to be able to shine true to who you are and actually show these people why they should be your friends, why they should invite you to the next time. Forget all that stuff. Be the Luffy. Just go with it. Roll with it. Let yourself be. It might be weird. You might be different to them. And they might go, that's cool. They might not. Who cares if they don't? And if it doesn't feel right, if your emotions go, doesn't feel good to be here. Next. But if your emotions go, I'm safe to be who I am, and they're still embracing me, they're saying, hey, see you next time. Have a great time. Nice to play with you. Even though you are your weird, quirky self, like that's the way I see myself. I'm weird and quirky. I'm not like everybody else. Sometimes I say things that are just not what people typically hear. And then after that, they go, it was nice playing with you. Like, these could be my people. But if I'm distracted thinking, what if they don't like who I am? What if I say the wrong thing? What if they feel weird around me? What if? I'm distracted. distracting myself from being who I really am. And that's not life. That's not what we want to live. And you don't want to be around a team with that you have to like condition yourself to act a certain way. That's not fun. Hell no.
Yeah. Use your, to get to, so I think this is all great. I think that is the attitude. And I think that is the critical way to like find a team. There are ways to like try to find teams that are going to be more in line. Like I've just joined a soccer team that is for the first time is like filled with people who are totally positive. We're trying to like elevate so that we can get up to another league, which is a thing that like for like the last 10 years, I've just kind of played with whoever. And for the most part, it's just people who are dads and like not taking it all that seriously. And I'm excited to play with this new group of people, but I met them through other people, right? Like utilize your social networks to ask around. If you're interested in playing soccer with people who are going to be friendly to whatever your identities or whatever you're worried about, ask the people who are around you in those communities, hey, this is what I'm interested in. Do you know anybody who does this? Do you know of a league? Using Facebook groups is another good way to find it. And it's going to depend on where you're at. Like in a big city like Seattle, it's so easy to find like whatever niche thing you are. If you want to find a all trans soccer group, like, I guarantee you can find it. But if you're in a smaller community, that might be a little more difficult. But it's, using the online, using the communities that are around you, and word of mouth is just absolutely the best. Or just walking up, going down to, if again, I'm using the example of soccer, going down, finding out where people are playing and just simply striking up a conversation with a team that looks nice. Hey, that looks fun. How do I join teams like this or whatever? You'll be really surprised with how these people want to bring more people into their communities.
Yeah, that's beautiful practical advice. That is very, I'm more like, how does it feel? I'm telling you.
I think that's practical.
Transitioning, how I feel is so much more important than my practicality. I'm so glad we got both of us, because you're going to be so practical. Your advice is going to hit home on the practical side of the logical things. And I'm going to be like, well, if it feels right, do it.
No, I think you got to have both. You got to have both.
Yeah, I love it. It's cool.
What other things do we have that we think we want to tell people or discuss or talk about in order to like give people guidance? And so I have a couple of things which I can start with, which is that I'm readjusting to Trump just existing and being like, he's going to be in government now. And I'm remembering 2016 and like what that 4 years looked like and what I did. And what I did was I got on my phone and I paid attention every moment, every day. I would like mainline. I joined I added a bunch of new podcasts and a bunch of new YouTube people. Like 2016 was literally when I started watching YouTube seriously. And it was with debate people and watching people talk about whatever the issue of the day is. And I'm realizing how easy it would be to do all of that again, because he is just a fucking chaos machine. He's like a car crash happening all the fucking time, right? And I totally could glue myself to that screen, and I'm not going to do it this time. I'm going to do something way, way, way better and more effective and important, because so much of that, again, like our entertainment, I'm so from 8 years of this experience is I'm finally like, oh, all this media is just an entertainment product. It's a thing designed to draw me in, and it doesn't care about how my emotions, it doesn't care that things are happening in my community around me that I'm not paying attention to at all, because I am listening to this guy talk about how he wants to rename some random fucking body of water. And I just like, I'm not.
The entertainment is damaging us.
Yeah.
Honestly, if we're putting it simply, I feel damaged when I watch it. Like, I don't feel like I can be as useful as I could be if I didn't watch this bullshit. This car crash. It's like, in my head, it's like short circuiting. Oh my God. And I feel like, what am I going to do about this? Nothing. There's nothing I can do if I'm in this state. But if I'm like away from that and I can like, I don't know, be present in what's around me that I love, that I appreciate, that I respect, then I can actually think critically. I can actually do service to people, and I can actually address certain things as a life coach that I do. I coach volleyball, I coach pickleball, and I coach people. But if I'm watching this car crash and I'm so engaged on it and I'm short circuiting, like, how is this possible? How do people like go for this? I feel damaged. I feel like damaged goods after watching this stuff.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
So,
Well, and it's, oh,
you
sorry.
piqued my curiosity when you said, like, this is what I did the first time and it's an entertainment machine, and this time I'm not going to do that. I was like, oh, what a great idea.
Well,
Got me.
people, and again, going back to the people that you are experiencing on the internet that are making you feel terrible, that are filled with hate, right? Like that is what happens when you are just locked in. If you just locked into whatever an entertainment product that your kind of natural proclivity, whatever gets your emotions running, if you just follow that, that is the logical conclusion. It is emotional outbursts. It is extreme emotions and feelings that are building them up constantly inside of you, because that's all these entertainment products are feeding us, is just things to just set off every emotion, because that's what keeps you engaged. Specifically fear. Fear is the biggest thing that they want to drive inside of you, because fear is just such a strong motivator, not just internally, because I think as humans, we're kind of like, fear is just it's an easy to access emotion, and we know what to do. We run, we hide, we fight, whatever. Like, it's very base, it's primal. But it's also, fear is just, our culture is so fear and shame based. Like, that is the thing that is the tool that is used to get us to comply with systems, with authorities, is fear, threats. And I think that that's the thing that motorcycle has very much helped me with, is just eliminating fear from my life. Because if I can ride at 150 miles an hour on the highway, like I am so much less fearful than the people in my community, and capable of like thinking, like letting things go, and not letting them like eat at me and drive me, by comparison. And you can't be driven by fear. Like, it's not healthy. It's not how we're gonna get through anything. It's not how any problems are solved. You have to solve problems through a logical process, and a logical process requires you to be emotionally regulated. It requires you to not just follow whatever rabbit hole or whatever bait is being thrown into the water, especially when there's 400 fishermen in a little pond with just like the biggest bait, right?
Yeah. So you're telling me I need to get a motorcycle and drive 150 miles down the highway?
I'm saying, when you do that, you have evolved. You've gotten there. Yeah. Takes a while. Don't start there. Don't start there. But
that's crazy. Honestly, you're crazy. I have driven a crotch rocket before, and it was scary. Like, instant speed. As soon as you do this, you're like, "Bah!" And I'm like, whoa. Yeah, I only did that once. So I was like, I'm gonna just give this back to my buddy. That was cool, super fun. Enjoy. Good luck.
Talk about things that light up stuff in your brain, right? Like, that's another emotion to be careful. Like, how attached you get to that, like, adrenaline rush. It's not always doesn't always lead to long-term benefit. Yeah. Well, what do you got going? What are you thinking or feeling or experiencing that you want to talk about?
There's so much, honestly, in my brain, because I have been watching all this Trump stuff, and especially because I'm a target, and it's like I'm stuck between, do I watch this baloney to be informed and prepare for what this next 4 years is going to be like, or do I stay in my happy bubble where my family is and my pickleball is and coaching the girls volleyball and do the things that really light me up and make me feel at peace? Which one do I do? And do I find a balance between the two? And I keep going back to, how can I be of service in this time of, this next 4 years where, people are going to be attacked and targeted. And again, that's kind of what life has always been like in this society for marginalized groups, or just for anybody, really. White hetero men get attacked. It's not like everybody's safe, or anybody or any group is safe from something and harm and whatever. So am I getting caught up in all this and I really don't need to be, or do I need to be because I have a voice and I'm, confident enough to be able to fight back and find where the rallies are in my state and maybe even do some traveling to support communities and be a powerful voice. Like, so I'm kind of in this place, like trying to find where I belong in my ability to serve the community. So I'm kind of, I guess I'm at a place where it's like I'm looking for that. And anyone, if you're watching, if you know of a place where my service can really be helpful, please feel free to reach out. I really do want to help. I want to do whatever I can to make this next 4 years as safe for people, as bearable for people, and maybe even, who knows, fun and happy and peaceful. Like, even though we've got this position we're in where it could be dangerous and unsafe and scary, we all deserve to enjoy our life and to find, some kind of place where we belong, where we feel good, where there are people who support us. I wouldn't say that anyone who's looking at this next 4 years as nothing but danger and hopelessness, I invite you to shift your perspective and actually look for the happiness and the joy. Like, for me, that's what I'm trying to find right now. It's like, I want to be of service to protect people, to hopefully create a better way of being after we go through this, probably one of our darkest times as far as marginalized groups, how they're going to be treated and stuff, to come out of it in a better way for all of humankind. But in that time, let's not look beyond the fact that, hey, we can be around good people and have fun and be happy and create joy for others. We're not going to be able to do that if we're stuck and trapped in fear. If we're stuck and trapped in, what the hell am I going to do? How am I going to fight and fight back and be strong? We still can be vulnerable, and we can still have our moments where we need help and support. I worry, for me, I value my strength, and it's taken me a long time to also value my vulnerability and my weakness. When I feel weak, to not go, I can't be weak right now. I can't be vulnerable right now. That puts us in a constant fight or flight. That fear is taking us out of our natural emotion where we want to just be vulnerable and allow people to come in and support us, to allow people to be there for us. So when we're in this constant fight or flight, you're not being real. You're pushing, and you don't always need to be pushing. Sometimes we need the people to come support us and to be there for us. And I would say, over this next 4 years and what you're seeing, what you're preparing for, I hope you're also preparing for being allowed and allowing yourself to still be vulnerable, still ask for help, still allow people to support you, and still want to live the life that feels right for you, instead of, denying that because you're too in fear of the fight that you have to do for the next 4 years. I hope that makes sense. And if there's a way that you can word it from your perspective, I invite you to, because I know, again, I'm very touchy-feely. Mr. Practical Man over here might give it a little more different for especially the trans men and the men watching.
you definitely, I mean, like, the being of service to other people, like, as I've gone through divorce, it that was part of reassessing of what is my life? Like, what do I want to be driving towards now that I'm entering this new phase of where I'm just kind of me, and I'm not, this relationship is not the thing that I'm a part of, which is two people. And I've always kind of been someone in life where I'm pretty flexible. I've always been pretty flexible. And that can be a nice asset, but can also be a problem when you're like, boy, what am I building towards? And I realized that through reading a book called The Courage to Be Disliked, which is a very popular book. And I really do, I encourage people to take a look at it. But it talked about how being of service to others is really one of the things that makes people feel enriched. And it comes from the baseline of that human interpersonal relationships are what make people happy. That is what makes human beings happy. It is not stuff. It is not experience. It is not even experiences, because if I were to hand you $1 million but I were to give you the restriction, you can do whatever you want, but you got to do it alone. Right. Yeah. It's not fun. Right. And you can't show it you can even showing it to people. That's what rich people do, because they're not enjoying the experience. The enjoyment so often is trying to project this happiness rather than truly being happy. And that is why I do not think like wealthy or rich people like Elon Musk, they will always forever be unhappy, because we live in a system, we live in a world where to accumulate that much resources requires you eliminating your own humanity that builds up other people and looks at yourself as somebody that makes it, that enriches your life through enriching other people and like
sharing is caring.
Yeah.
Sharing your experience, sharing your love, sharing your joy and happiness. Yeah. Sharing is caring. We learn it in kindergarten, and it really is. It, like, to your point, that's what makes these things joyful. If I were to do something alone, it's like I'd be like looking around, like, are you feeling this too? I want you to feel this too, but there's no one to feel it with me, and it's like, and then it just becomes a distant memory, and it's like it almost didn't even happen. But when you can talk about it with someone as if you both shared that same thing in the same moment at the same point in time, that is powerful. When you're on your deathbed and you're laying there, it's like you want to think about those things you've done with other people. When you think about something you did alone, it's like it's almost like you don't even believe it happened.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you a thing I've done. So since getting with my girlfriend, I have made her, for her birthday, which is in January. It's actually we're actually recording on her birthday. She won't watch this, but happy birthday, baby.
Her birthday is January 26th. That's amazing. Is she Aquarius?
All right. Well, I'm writing this down. I make a little video of like all the clips and stuff I make throughout the year, and just kind of like, it's like a personal video project, which is a lot of work and effort, but it's so nice. Like I'm so excited to show it to her, because it's like, it's our life, and we shared these moments together. And it means, even though it's like it's a video for an audience of 2 people, and it's so much easier to create that. And it's so much easier to know like what the impact's going to be. And yeah, so finding that community. And another thing you said earlier, that connecting with community, I think, is going to be critically important. And you asked specifically, like, how can you find more places? And I think that's what I've been trying to do, is like, what can I get more involved in? Like I would literally go to a protest almost every weekend, probably, if I could, because I would rather do that than sit at home and play video games at this point in my life. Like, as much as video games are a nice distraction and they're a good thing, they're a fun thing to do for a half hour, an hour, like doing it for 5 hours on a Saturday afternoon is like, man, I don't want to do that. And I can't look at things and I don't feel good. I don't want to do that. So getting engaged with other communities, and to get engaged with other communities, like I tried to join a openly socialist community. I Googled, Seattle socialist communities. And there's application processes and stuff, because people are concerned about who are coming into these communities. There is just general like apprehension. And I was rejected, from that community, not because of something that I did, but because I talked about things someone close to me had done, a really long time ago. And going back to the like division, right? Of like, we're like, life is getting really hard. The world is getting worse and worse and worse. And the solution is not going to be going off and hiding on your own. We're all just going to die that way. That's a lone wolf, a wolf that leaves the pack because it gets hurt or whatever. Like, you're dead. Sorry. Like that.
We need each other.
Yeah. We have to come together, and to do that is going to require not finding reasons to say yes to community rather than looking for excuses to exclude people. And the more you can find reasons to say yes about like adding people in. And I think going back to the sports question is a perfect example, right? That's why I really support the attitude you have of just kind of walking on and being like, hey, y'all, I'm here to play some fucking soccer. Like, y'all want to play with me or what? Like, do you want to give a fuck about how I look, or do you want to play this game together? Like finding the people that want to do that want to do an action or build towards a goal more than they want to like purify some other aspect of that, I think is going to be really critical.
Yeah. When I was saying we need each other, the first thought is like, well, then you need these assholes who are targeting you. And it's funny because, it's just the way my brain works. It's like I'm constantly trying to challenge my thinking just so that I can learn and expand. It's like, I think it would be pretty interesting to try and find a way to show each other how we need each other. You know, these people who are so against the existence of trans people, it's like, how can I prove to you you need us? This is just a thought coming up. I don't have the answers right now. It was a question that popped into my mind. It's like, how can I prove to you you need me by also sharing that we need you? And it's like, I really don't want to admit I need you because it feels icky. But I'm sure I could prove to myself that I do. You know?
You really could use their vote. You could really use them voting for and like advocating for things. And at a minimum, not it. Sometimes you don't need an advocate. You just need to not have an enemy, if that makes sense, right? Is like to not be, I'm a pretty outspoken person. Like that's why I'm on YouTube. That's why I am who I am. And like, that's gotten me in trouble at my job. And I have had to make different decisions. I've had to make choices where I said, as much as I want to fight this fucking tooth and nail and like tell this person how they feel and really treat them how they deserve, what's actually more important is keeping my job and keeping and like working and biding my time, and like that goes back to like the not making emotional reactions and making logical, calculated reactions, which is hard. It's hard. It's not easy. And again, the world is not designed to create that. That's a thing we have to choose to do. And we have to, and it starts with recognizing that it is important to do for our own. There are self-interested reasons to not be emotional. And
that's why I don't have a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is like, we can't have emotional reactions. They're like, oh, that's why I haven't had a boss in many years.
I feel it. I mean, I would love to be a lone independent creator, but like, I also like, there's a different value set, which says that I need to take care of myself first. I need to secure, I think I can have more value to people if I secure myself in my market society, because that allows me to, I make a 6-figure income, but I live like again, I have a 22-year-old fucking 25-year-old Toyota Tacoma that is my car, and I give, I take in trans women and I spend lots of money on, that's where it goes, right? The money and the assets are there so that I can use that to help other people. It's not to enrich myself, because enriching myself doesn't make me happy, so, but yeah, there's different ways. There's a lot of different choices. There are a lot of places to dig in. The big thing I find is find the thing that's motivating to you. And for me, I realized what was motivating to me was specifically like queer people, like that I had a lot based on my life experiences, based on my, just the things that had kind of coincidentally happened, that getting connected with queer people, using my like open personality, my desire to like be inclusive and just connecting with them. And so that's the lane that I chose. And I'm going to dig into that lane and go as deep and far as I can, because that's where the real value comes from. And everybody should find that thing for themselves, whatever makes them want to get up to do that work, to not play video games or distract or disassociate. If you're doing that, then you haven't found that thing yet, I think.
Yeah, it's like coping mechanisms, recognizing what's a coping mechanism and making sure it's not taking you away from what's, really important in this life. Yeah. I will say this, like, I'm different than you. I don't try to secure certain things. Like, I was working for this one guy at a lake pavilion, renting out kayaks and canoes and stuff like this. And, they had this waterproof bag that they would rent to people, but they hid them under the counter. I'm like, you guys are missing out, and I'd put them up on the counter, and I would sell out of them or rent out of them every time that I was there. And they were like, oh my God, she's teaching us how to actually make more money here. And I was like, yeah, I can help you in this business. I think critically about certain things and whatever. And one day the boss was just, he was saying shit I didn't like. I was like, oh yeah, peace. I just walked off. I'm walking backwards like, bye. Like, I don't care. You mistreat me, peace the F out. No, yeah, I walked back. I was just like, okay, see ya. Yeah. I don't know if that's the best idea, but it is how I operate.
I mean, I think, but again, from my perspective, I respect that. And like, it's all about, I mean, here's the thing. I think, was it the right decision? I don't know. You're here with me. Are you happy with where you're at in life today? Because if so, then, Yeah, like then it was at that, or maybe it wasn't, and it was something that
I don't
you
know what
learned
my life
from.
would have turned out like if I stuck around. Whatever. I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah,
But for me, my heart went, do this. And I was like, okay, bye.
yeah. I don't know. You know, I always my hope is that my guess is that you felt like you had other options, right? You did that because you were like, I'm gonna do something else rather than just fuck you. And then it was like, oh no, I don't
No,
know how
my
many more
brain
drinks.
doesn't work like yours, AJ. It doesn't. It's different. I'm like, I go in the moment. There was no plan. There was no what else do I have going on. I was like, no, bye. And I walk away like, what's next? I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out as we go.
Well, you're renting kayaks too, right? We were talking earlier about the cost of that, right? And it's like, well, what are you going to lose? A job selling
Right.
kayaks?
No, for
Give me
sure,
fuck.
for sure. If I was at a job 10 years plus, had a great salary and benefits and stuff,
Yeah.
be a little more careful with walking away with my, you'd really have to push me hard to get to that point. I'm not about to go take a dump on my boss's desk or anything like that, but, but yeah, no, in that moment I was like, nah, bye.
Well, I do know that I envy you, and I hope to be that person someday. So,
No, you know what? I'm proud of you for, you're talking about a situation at work where you would love to tell a guy off, but instead you're doing a more responsible thing that's going to be more beneficial for you and your life and stuff. So I envy that. So we could just envy each other for our attitude.
I like it. There we go. It's I think in the therapy world they call that doing your shadow work or whatever, right? It's like two sides of the coin. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I had a great time. Thanks for connecting with me, Sarah. This has been awesome. I hope that you got a lot of value out of this. And if you have questions for us, like I said, so you can join in my Discord. You definitely should, and you'll find both me and Sass there. There's a little section there for the Squid'n Sass podcast. You can post a question for you and we'll note it down. You can also leave a comment in this video or wherever you find it. Of course, you can shoot me an email at 6squidtips@gmail.com. And then I've got a hotline you can leave a voicemail for, which we might play here. Please tell me if you don't want me to play it or if you have specifics you would like me to leave out. But the number is 1, because it's a US area code, 253-237-4728. That is the Squid Tips hotline, and you'll hear my little voice on there.
And don't forget to like or subscribe, or you might never see us again. Oh my gosh, that would be such a pity.
I'm so bad at that. Thank you for remembering. I never. Oh God,
Come
this is
back.
why I don't believe in it. You either already clicked the thumb and the subscribe button because you were stoked and you got value, or you're gonna fuck off anyway. I don't know, but
please don't fuck off.